Welcome to Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 here on Municipal Affairs. With October 20th fast approaching, the race for a municipal office across the province is heating up. From every corner of this great province of Alberta, candidates for mayor, reeve, and councillor are stepping forward with ideas for stronger communities, smarter growth, and brighter futures. Today we are turning our attention to the town of Nanton, Alberta, where we are sitting down in person and chatting with Roger Miller, who is running for re-election as councillor for the town of Nanton. Roger, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking about yourself and talking about, well, your re-election bid to continue on the Town of Nanton Council. I wanted to start with the question that I often ask my first-time guest on this show, and that is, where does your sense of duty to serve your community come from, Roger?
Good question. Let me answer it in a kind of a roundabout way. I wasn't born and raised here. I've only lived here for 6 years and previously lived in Calgary. I chose this town, right? So for me, it's kind of, I adopted this town and its culture and its people. I love the town. I fell in love with it driving through the town years ago, and I was motivated to invest in the town. And early on, I thought, well, I'm retired, or I'm about to be retired, and if I don't find something to do, I'm going to drive myself crazy or worse. So it made sense for me to become part and parcel of what happens in this town and maybe contribute to the culture and the growth. So those are the kind of things that motivate me. I hope that answers your question.
It does, but it begs the follow-up question of giving back to the culture of the community can be in many different ways. Volunteerism, nonprofits, but last election in, I believe, 2021, and correct me if I'm wrong, you decided that, okay, I'm going to give back to the culture of the community, but I'm going to do it as an elected official around the council table. Where did the desire to become a politician and be a municipal leader come from?
I had no desire to be a politician whatsoever.
Do you consider yourself a politician today? In name only?
I'm not sure how to answer that. I am a politician, whether I like it or not. But how well I exercise that, I guess it remains to be seen. I don't consider myself a politician, not at the municipal level. I'm here to serve the town and serve the people that I represent. Does that make me a politician? Perhaps. But and it's funny, you know, the decision, I was in bed, frankly, and I'm laying there thinking, what am I going to do? I need to do something with my future here in town. I'd been here then already 2 years. And the elections were announced. This was September, I think, of 2021. And I thought, I'm going to talk to a few folks in town here, some former councillors, current mayor, and ultimately made a decision, yeah, this is something I can do, and I'm going to give it a try.
There's often a sense when you first get elected, and we're going to get into some of the issues, but I want to get into your backstory a little bit. But when you first get elected, it feels like you're drinking from a fire hose because there's a lot of information that gets thrown at you very quickly. You have budgets, you have to learn the MGA, you have to learn about all the policies that have come before you, you have to get up to speed on all that. What in your background was able to give you that transitional period to make it easy on yourself, or did you find it easy to transition from being the guy who wanted to do it to now doing it?
No, it wasn't easy, not at all. My background for the last probably 30 some odd years, more than 30 years, was managing projects for a consulting engineering firm. So I was senior project manager, and my experience working for those firms was sitting around a table, boardroom table, with a project meeting and making sure that I was assigning work to each discipline, mechanical, electrical, structural, so on and so forth, giving them deadlines, giving them dates, and expecting deliveries. And we got to council, and realizing, oh, it doesn't work that way here. I can't delegate anything to anybody, so I have to make it work here at the council table. I'm not sure that answers your question, but it was my experience running projects, I guess, that I brought to this table, that I think I get a sense of what has to be done, how it has to be done, and as a project manager, it was easy to delegate and get people to do things and meet the deliverables. Here, sometimes the deliverables take 4 years, and that was a culture change for me, big time.
The role of council is a lot about making decisions around this table, but doing it in a group setting. Yes, you are one individual vote on this council, but the majority of votes then can pass or reject any motion. And there have been some tough decisions that you've probably had to make. And I say that knowing that budgets are the toughest things that you have to pass, because that is playing with people's day-to-days pocketbooks. In the 4 years, how have you been able to make those tough decisions? Because you have to move the community forward, but you have to do it responsibly. As a councillor, how have you seen your role in being able to balance the needs of what the community wants, but the realities that people are currently living in?
The balance is between need, want, right?
Is that hard though?
Yeah, it is, because lots of things that we as a community want, but simply cannot have. Budget won't allow it, time won't allow it, but the need is still there. So we have to find a way to balance that need want and make sure that we're fulfilling the needs of the community. And I don't know, but I think this council has done a pretty decent job of balancing needs versus wants and making sure that the budget is there and the money is being spent on the right things. Our mayor has spoken about how we contribute to reserves, for instance. And personally, I'm pretty proud of the fact that our management people, I think they've done a pretty good job of setting money aside for, as an example, we raised the issue, well, a year or so ago about what are we doing with our fire apparatus, our fire equipment? Are we setting money aside for instance, maybe a new apparatus? We weren't. We are now. We're setting money aside each year, and to me that's, if I look at my own personal budget, do I set money aside for something I might need in 10 years? No, but the town does. So I think we're managing our money and our future and balancing that whole needs and wants thing. I think we're doing a good job of that, personally.
So after 4 years on council, you have decided, I'm not sure when you officially decided, but you have decided that you were going to run for re-election. What was that decision based on? Was 4 too little, you just needed another 4 years to get things done?
When I ran for election the first time, I vowed, anybody willing to listen to me, I would serve one term, that's it, and I would be gone. Well,
so can I say this? As a politician, you've made your first true thing as a politician. You've broken your first promise.
Yes, sir, I broke my first promise to myself and to anybody willing to listen to me. The thing is, it's my background that got on the road. Mm-hmm. My sense of, I have a project, I will see this through till the end, I will meet the deliverable, I will deliver it, it will be successful. I based my whole career on being able to deliver. We have some major infrastructure projects that we're working on right now that just came to fruition in like weeks ago or a few months ago. And for me to walk away from that, I just couldn't live with myself. So while I may not be reelected, my motivation for running for reelection is to hopefully be part of seeing those projects through, those deliverables finished successfully, on time, on budget, that's ultimately good for the town.
It seems like a very narrow reason to run. Is there a project, is there a priority for yourself that you would like to see? Because looking at the things that have already started this term, what do you want to see accomplished in the next 4 years? members. What's your priorities? Because you are one member of 7 that sits around this table
Right.
who gets to vote in favor or against anything. What do you hope to be able to put on the agenda that people of Nanton say, oh, that's why we should reelect him?
Well, there isn't one project. There's
Or
probably
is there multiple?
There's multiple projects. And I guess the first one that's near and dear to my heart is our health center, our clinic here in town. I've been working on that since before the election, in fact. And I'm pleased to say that I believe I was a strong advocate for changing the course of our direction in terms of getting on with that. I brought some of my construction and engineering experience to the table on that project. So the mayor and I have met with the ministers, with parliamentary secretaries, with our MLA, anybody else that we could convince to listen to us. We've advocated for our clinic. I'm told that we're supposed to have some provincial representation here soon to have a look at it. Great. So the clinic is very near and dear to my heart. We have 2 new schools that are currently under construction, just started a few weeks ago. I was also part of that program 4 years ago. Interestingly enough, I was introduced to the superintendent of the school board, Livingston Range School Board, by one of the trustees. And that trustee said, well, I made the profound statement that I think you guys are going about this all wrong. What a brash statement that was. But I have some experience with modernizing schools. So ultimately, I toured the schools with the superintendents, with 2 of them. And at the end of the tour, I said to them, you know, this high school, really, you should tear it down and start over, because this building is not suitable. You can't even meet your current curriculum in this school, in this building. So part of the answer to your question is the schools. I'm passionate about seeing these schools being built and finished. And if I run again and I'm successful in being elected, maybe I'll get to see them actually occupied and finished. And water. Water is important. We have potable water project. We have a wastewater project. And again, I guess it's the engineering sense behind that, and I don't know. I just get into the nitty-gritty of how this stuff works, and can we
It's
make it
all
work.
the sexy stuff of municipal politics, wastewater, sewage treatment facilities.
Yeah, all the crap and whatnot that we have to deal with. And that's what gets me out of bed in the morning, right? So those 4 projects right off the bat, those are the kinds of things that really interest me, where I think I can best serve the community and the people who vote for me.
So those are very big macro issues at the end of the day, and they are important issues. And I can imagine if I went to 100 people in Nanton, 75% of them would probably say that those were some of the issues. But you're always going to have those individual issues that you also have to champion. The things, that pothole on John Street, that I'm just saying John the person, I don't know if there's an actual John Street in Nanton, and if there is, then I apologize. But that pothole in front of John's house that has caused his struts to be the pain of his existence. How important is it for yourself as council and for the next 4 years, if the people of Nanton put their trust in you, to not just champion the macro issues, but champion the micro issues as well, to champion the potholes, the upgrades of the parks, the economic diversification to bring more businesses into the community? How important is that for you?
That's very important to me. I mean, that's why I'm here. I steadfastly believe that it's my job as a councillor to represent the community in the best way I possibly can, and that means listening to them. There was a neighbor not far from where I live who complained bitterly about potholes in the gravel lane behind his home. I'm happy to say that when I was there yesterday, it's been fixed. So it's little things that annoy people, right? I get that.
But it's not even annoying. I apologize to interrupt, but those are the macro issues for them. Those are the big picture issues for them, because we often look at things as, okay, infrastructure, and that's a big macro issue, but that major pressing issue that they believe is the biggest thing in the community right now is that pothole. That can keep them up at night. And fixing that for them is night and day for them. That is like a relief that you can bring to them so quickly.
Yeah, and you know, unlike our mayor, I'm still pretty much anonymous in town. Having adopted the town, not being born and raised here, I have a fair degree of anonymity. I can move around this town and
Now you're going national on this show. Come on, man.
Not many people. I'll take off my mustache and cut my hair, so I'll deal with that. But so I'm not well known. But the people who do know me and are willing to approach me, I'm thrilled that they will take the time to come and talk to me or complain about things. And yeah, I get some complaints that I might deem them to be a bit frivolous, but I still have an obligation to try to deal with them, and I'll do the best I can to deal with that.
You want to word this in a way that I can make it sound like I'm actually smart on this show sometimes.
Just remember who you're dealing with here, though, eh?
The guy who just said he's going to shave off his mustache to the show's air. So I would love to see that. If you could take a photo, that'd be great. Appreciate it. But you're running for re-election, and there are many issues that the municipality, the town of Nanton, are going to be faced with.
Yeah.
What do you believe is priority one that this next council will have to address? Is it water? Is it infrastructure? Is it those projects? Because there's going to be a lot of need for continuity on this council, and you bring that continuity along with some of your other councillors who are going to run for re-election. What do you see as priority one for the next council?
It's an odd question, so I'm going to answer it in an odd way. One of the things I learned...
I like the fact that you're the only person who's ever told me I've asked odd questions, and I appreciated that like there's no tomorrow, because I like being called out from time to time as well.
One of the things I learned in the consulting engineering business is that it's all about relationships. And I don't care how good you are, if you don't have a relationship with the RCMP, with the health minister, with our municipal affairs minister, then it makes dealing with them, those ministers, those portfolios in the future that much more difficult. So for me, cultivating and maintaining relationships with our senior government officials, whether provincial or federal, those are the things that I think are important for this town. If we go to a minister that has never heard of us, never heard of me, never heard of our mayor, and we start asking for something, that makes it a bigger challenge than if they say, oh, we know Mayor Handley, we know the councillors, we know Nanton, we know what your issues are, because you've brought them to us, you've talked to us. So
but is it cultivating the relationships just with your local MLAs and MPs, or is it also cultivating the relationships with because your local MP is in the opposition right now, so that means you're going to have to try and get in front of people who are not in the Conservative Party.
Right.
Your local MLA is in the government, and I believe they have a parliamentary secretary position. I'm not 100% sure, and I apologize if I'm getting that wrong, Chelsea. Please accept my apologies. But how important is it to work across party lines? Because municipal office, you're an independent. You have to deal with people who vote Liberal, Conservative, NDP in this town. And that means you're going to have to work and build those relationships with every party and not just the parties that you support.
Yeah, so I believe at the municipal level we need to keep this as nonpartisan as possible. I can't afford to have partisan politics here. So to answer your question, we need to cultivate relationships with other municipalities, with the province, and with the feds. And maybe Alberta doesn't support the federal government politically. Doesn't matter. The buck stops with them. That's where the money comes from. And so when we apply for a grant with the feds, we want to be heard. We want to be granted that money. So it's important that we have that relationship with all levels of government. No partisan politics. Thank you very much.
One of the big issues that I was just recently talking to the mayor about, and I want to get your opinion on, is water. Water seems to be a major issue in the community.
Yeah.
You look at social media; it seems to be the hot topic of discussion right now. Again, shouldn't always believe what's on social media, but we'll play in the sandbox for a little bit. What have you done as council and yourself as councillor to ensure that water remains a top priority going into the next term, but also a top priority for this term in office?
Oh gosh, there's administration along with council has done so much to advance the issue of reliable water. We have a reservoir, a water reservoir, for instance, and during my term on council, we have seen administration clean up the reservoir. We've put in a whole new system of aeration. Thank you to the province for a grant for that. We're looking at, we have a grant from the Water for Life from the province to explore importing water from another community, in this case, High River. So the complaint is that our water from Mosquito Creek it has an odor and a taste, and our operations people are working constantly every day on dealing with water and wastewater, but if you look at Mosquito Creek, it isn't a very appetizing creek to look at. But when you look at the water that comes out of our tap, water in my house is excellent. I don't have any issue drinking the water in my home. But in some parts of town, and people will say, well, it's because of the aging infrastructure. I'm not sure that that's true. I think it's probably more likely.
I was going to say, haven't you heard the old saying of, oh, it's only good to your house because you're a councillor?
Well, I have a separate pipeline coming to my house. Does that
There you
make a
go.
difference?
That's why you get snow removed every week in your house. Come on.
That's right. That's right. No, that's not right at all.
Not at all. For those who are listening, please don't send out emails. This was a joke, and it was a real bad joke. It might have been the worst joke, but
anyhow, the current source of our potable water is that unappetizing looking creek that runs through town and through the golf course. But we have the right kind of infrastructure to deal with that water, and our operations people are steadfast in maintaining it and watching it. We have the reservoir, we have the aeration, we have the filters. So the water that ultimately is getting to your kitchen sink or your bathroom sink is clean, safe drinking water.
we are a few months away from when the next municipal budget will have to be passed. That will be one of the top priorities for the next council. I was, again, speaking with and looking on the social media, people are concerned about high taxes all the time. No matter what municipality you're in, people are concerned about that. As someone who's been around this table for the last 4 years passing municipal budgets, do you believe property taxes in Nanton are too high?
You ask tough questions.
Okay, can I ask a follow-up, a different way to ask that question? I'm going to ask a different question then.
Go ahead.
I'm going to hold you to answer that last question though.
Okay.
Do you think the municipality spends money wisely? Because there was a recent report by the Fraser Institute, and I know I should never quote the Fraser Institute, but I'm going to do it here for 2 seconds, that they said that municipalities do not spend money wisely. They spend it on jurisdictional issues that are not traditionally in the municipal realm. They spend it on issues that are in the provincial realm or the federal realm. As someone who's had around this council table, do you believe that the money that you've collected from residents have been spent wisely?
Yeah, I do actually. And unfortunately, the province, for whatever reason, has downloaded some of our...
My favorite D word.
Yeah, so the fact that they've downloaded education revenue or collecting on the municipalities. So our property taxes here went up on average about $300 this year for each resident, for each taxpayer. We've also
How
faced
much of that was the education portion, though?
$300. Well, it was like $270 or thereabouts was education tax. And so that's a municipal thing, but it's not. It's provincial, right? That wasn't our problem. It wasn't our issue. So are we spending taxpayer money wisely? Well, the money that we get, we're spending wisely. It was also downloaded on the municipalities to increase our contribution for the RCMP, whom we dearly love to have in our town, but we're now paying for it. Are our taxes too high? Your first question? No. They are what they are because what we lack in this town is big business, industry, that in other communities really foot the bill for all those nice things that you get in the big town or the big city. So, and that's, if you've read anything about what I stand for, I'm all about organic growth. I would like to see more residential development. I would like to see some industrial development, because it's going to be the industrial development that will help offset our taxes. And hopefully the province doesn't come back to us with another request for more education or RCMP or who knows what. But as a municipality, we can't control that.
Can't control what other levels of government do, but what you can control is how you spend the money,
Right.
the municipal portion of the property taxes that you collect. Oh, you talk about organic growth, and I just want to get your opinion on something for a second, because developers across Alberta and even Canada right now are looking at municipalities outside of the larger cities, but they're only looking at municipalities that have the infrastructure in place to even build. They won't even go near municipalities that don't have the proper adequate road system, wastewater treatment facility, pipelines laid for water. Do you believe Nanton is set up for growth? That if developers came here tomorrow and said, I want to build 12 new lots of housing, you could do it?
The short answer is yes. We do have the infrastructure. You're going to hear, I believe, from some residents that, well, we got trouble with our water. It doesn't taste good. It smells bad. If we need a pipeline to supply water, then why on earth are we looking at developing more residential lots? All of those bits and pieces are considered before we make any decisions to move forward on any project. Sadly, we put an RFP out for developer for our for land in Westview, in the west side of town. We did not get a response, which came as no surprise to me whatsoever, because we were looking at, as the RFP was looking at, here's, I don't know how many acres it was, 70, 80 acres, and hey, Mr. Developer, would you like to buy all of this land and go ahead and start developing it? If I was looking at risk as a developer, I would have walked away from it. Well, in fact, they did. Not one of them submitted a proposal. Not one. So you will see, if I'm successfully reelected, that I will be a very strong advocate for developing more land the way we did 20 years ago in Westview. We will be the developer. The town will be the developer.
You're in favor of MCCs then, municipal controlled commissions.
The short answer is yes. Yes.
It's always bad when a government gets into the role of business, because business should be able to do it. But when developers are walking away, it's hard to grow your community, right?
Yeah, but if you look at the big cities, I just read this morning again that Calhoun Properties in Calgary is about to embark on construction for affordable housing. Well, there's government, there's a municipal government who are building something very specific for a very specific segment of their population. That's not what we're proposing here. We simply want to develop the land, offer it to developers. We have a developer in town here who buys 3 or 4 lots at a time, and he's building beautiful homes, and they're selling. So the problem is, from my perspective, we don't have any more lots to sell this builder. They're all sold. So we need to get on the wagon and develop the land to a point where we can sell lots. And I I think we're going to have developers come in and buy a few lots. They're not going to buy 70 acres of lots.
I'm cautious of time here, and I just want to start wrapping up, if you don't mind. And we've talked about very big issues: water, infrastructure development. What do you say to the people of Nanton who are thinking about putting their trust into you in the next 4 years about their priorities that they want to see addressed in the next 4 years, and how you will champion them?
First thing is, talk to me. You know, if you see me, if you see my ugly face downtown, then don't be afraid.
With or without the...
with or without, either way, talk to me. It's amazing how many people are reluctant to approach a politician, if you will. It's like, well, he's on that side of the street, I'll go to the other side of the street. No, talk to me. If you have an issue with a pothole or water, or don't have the infrastructure for high-rise apartment buildings, or no, we don't want a Costco here, talk to me. I can't invent...
Is there a Costco coming here?
No.
Okay. Okay. Just wanted to make sure, because if there was a Costco, I'm moving to Nanton if there's a Costco coming.
No, absolutely guaranteed, and I'd fight against that. But so I think that's, for me, that's what's important. That's what would be a good thing for me. Talk to me. Approach me. You can get my email address off our website. I'm happy to respond.
Yeah. We won't be linking your council email in the show notes, but if you do have a private email that you use for your campaign, we'll link that, because we want to make sure there's somewhat of a disconnect between your role as councillor and what you're doing here today. But my final question before I let you go, Roger, and it's the $1 million question. What haven't we talked about in the last half hour that you want to make sure the people of Nanton know about why you're running, the issues that you're championing, and what you will bring to the table in the next 4 years if they decide to put their trust in you as their continuation of a next councillor?
Well, what I want the residents to know and to understand is that I will do my very best to advocate for them. But I'm going back to my comment a moment ago, talk to me. The residents have a responsibility, in my opinion, to make sure I know what their issues are and what they want me to do. They elect me based on what I'm saying today, or said yesterday, or what I've said for 4 years, or what my campaign is saying. But in the end, once I'm elected, I can't invent all the issues, right? Talk to me, or share with the mayor or with council what your issues are, what you want and what you need. And there's the old need-want issue. Communicate with us. It's a two-way street.
Roger, it is a pleasure to sit down with you. I thank you so much for sitting down with me, and hopefully this wasn't too hard. This might be your first interview, but it was a great experience for me to sit down and chat with you, and I wish you the best of luck in the upcoming election.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode of Alberta Municipal Votes 2025. Now, we hope you've enjoyed today's conversation and gained some valuable insights into the world of this upcoming Alberta municipal election scheduled for October 20th. Now, editorial note time. If you are a candidate running for reeve, councillor, or even mayor, please reach out to us. We would love to have you on the show so we can talk about yourself and the reason why you are running for municipal council in your municipality. Now, your support means the world to us. So if you can, share this episode with your friends, your family, and yes, even your community, and help keep the conversation going. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged, and we will be back with a brand new episode of Alberta Municipal Votes 2025 on Municipal Affairs shortly. Till then, everyone.